Scoobity bop bow, scoobity bop da. Hey everybody, welcome back to Karandrin Role Playing. My name is Kevin Manus Pennings, also known as Cracked Palantir. I am your game master and host for tonight. This is episode 77 of Brise's Tale. And as always, my good buddy Max is here to play Brise and say hello to the lovely people.
Hey everybody, I just rolled a 1 on stealth to grab my dice without you noticing. That's what that was. Hope you're all having a lovely night and ready for some Karandrin role playing.
Yes, it's episode 77, which is crazy. So a few weeks here, we're going to
the luckiest episode we're ever going to have.
Right. And I should apologize. We had got all the scheduling ready to post on the website, and then we forgot to upload it. So anyway, it should be up there now. So there will be a slight scheduling change next week, and that is we're going to go for a Tuesday. So next Tuesday is when that's going to happen. So be sure to come and hang out with us then. And then we'll keep posting. We'll post schedule updates from that point on. So, we're back here at a place called the Four Wells, where we have learned that there's been a necromancer some 2 or 3 decades ago was working on some major project. And so describe the Four Wells to our audience.
Where to start? Well, at the surface, of the Four Wells are these 3 huge towers, 3 of which are built with
4 towers.
4 towers. Sorry. It's called the Four Wells, but there's 3 towers. There are 4 towers, 3 of which are filled with some unknown quantity of blood. That we discovered that a few sessions back. This blood that was being stirred by these undead, or these paladins turned into undead servants, essentially. And on the underside, which we were exploring last episode and a couple episodes before, was a kind of small complex with some machinery that was, we assumed to drain the blood into this robe, that extremely powerful, extremely dangerous, protective robe, magically enhanced robe. For what purposes, how it worked, wasn't quite sure, but Brise thought it best to destroy all evidence of this place. There was evidence that people had been there recently, were probably still working on whatever project this was. So in the last episode, we ended up activating a lot of traps, but we ended up successfully starting a fire and burning down most of what was going on here.
Yeah, sort of the mechanisms beneath. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously all stonework underneath the complex because it is on a mountainside.
Right.
But I mean, hopefully the fire seemed to be intense enough to destroy the mechanisms used to drain these enormous quantities of blood.
Right. As for the blood itself, we saw toward the end of last episode that it itself coalesced, evaporated, it somehow took another form of this cloud with eyes, this strange thundercloud, and took off at a pretty decent pace.
Against the wind.
Against the wind, yes.
Yeah,
a lot of things wrong there.
The assumption was when Brise had piled just tons of timber and stuff that you could find, and you just haul in loads and loads of wood. And we assumed that the blaze then melted some of the mechanism and the valves and let the blood flow inadvertently. But hey, what are you going to do, right? Fire was all you had at your disposal. And so something about the evaporation of that blood, the blood pouring down onto the blaze, gave rise to this black, really unfriendly cloud that did not just seem to have sort of a will of its own.
Well, it's not unfriendly, I would say. It's,
Yeah, it's probably fine.
All it wants to play with lightning bolts.
That's right. So yeah, Brise basically, sort of powerless, watched this thing form. Eyes are flashing inside of it, these sort of red eyes, and then the cloud begins to move. Oh my God, is that more bourbon?
Oh yeah,
Um,
full glass.
um,
Need it for this episode.
that's right. So, and you had been fairly heavily injured by the traps, almost killed by
Yes.
the
Yeah,
traps.
and I did, heal up quite a bit, but I'm still at 113 out of 185 hit points,
Okay,
76 out of 100 exhaustion. So
right,
we're a little tired.
yeah,
Probably not going to be casting too many spells, doing too much fighting.
right. Because within Karandrin, we do use exhaustion it's just tiring to channel power, and so yeah, so the cloud formed, and as you said, moved off, and that's right where we left off. And so yeah, let's jump back into it. It's mid afternoon on May 23rd within the game world.
Right,
So there's some hours of daylight left here in the mountains before, of course, the sun just dips down behind the peaks and darkness comes fast. So um, um,
So what I was going to do is, we know there was coming out of this entrance. So first, I want to check the fire. Stuff is dying down, I imagine, or is it still kind of?
well, I think you want to just keep an eye on the cloud for now, right? Until it's
Well,
literally
sure,
on
yeah.
the
Let's keep
horizon.
an eye until it kind of gets out of sight.
Roll for me.
Yeah. 62.
So there is some concern, like given that you were on your what you have been given directions to a local town north of here called Dorgal,
Right,
right?
right. A day.
As you remember the directions, and as you're seeing the direction of this, you're a little worried that it could be headed that way, however,
Right,
accidentally.
right.
And it's moving at a pretty good pace. And of course, not having to contend with the mountains and the valleys. Um, you know, it's moving at faster than a run, faster than um, a moderate gallop,
Right,
which means that in just a couple of hours, if it maintains its course, it should be there, within sight. Not that there's anything you can do about that, but I want you to keep that in mind.
that mine, yeah.
And it also means that if you do ever make it to Dorgal, you can ask,
Right,
right?
right.
And you can say, hey, back on the 23rd, did you hear anything? So I don't know if you want to put that in your goals
I
should you
will,
ever
yeah.
make it back that way. Um, it maintains a straight line. Um, my dice keep rolling like just perfectly with no result. Like, is that a 5 or a 6? I can't tell. There's no real change to its appearance. It's not, once it formed, it seems fairly stabilized in
Yeah.
appearance. It's probably, as you saw it directly above you, it's probably 50 feet across,
Mm,
you know. So, the size of a medium sized house in today's terms. And it disappears in the distance. Um, and you have that sense of, well, I mean, that
maybe.
chapter is closed for now. I can't fly. So,
Mm-mm.
um, um, so, what
Definitely something to research.
you have to ask about, check up on.
Exactly, yeah. So
All right.
turn
So
my attentions to the fire. Is it dying down?
there is a more normal smoke coming out.
Mm,
It still smells very bad. Um, um, you just don't know the degree to which you can breathe in there. You
yeah.
know.
Well,
Um,
I guess my concern, I don't want this thing to spread. So as long as it looks like it's contained,
oh, I
then
don't think you have any fear of that.
yeah,
The
okay.
stonework is just not going to carry that flame anywhere.
Right. Out of
Um,
the place. So
so
and also with I have a pretty big phobia of fire indoors. So I think I'll just leave that there.
right.
Maybe I'll come back in a week or something and check
Now you had blocked both doors along that passage that leads. Now, obviously, you're not going to go down the corridor to get that inner door. I
Right.
don't think you've got the nerve for that. I mean, you could roll to see if you want to do that, but um,
Yeah.
uh,
I will. So the door's propped open right now. Might as well leave it. Like we said, the fire still has oxygen to keep burning if it is. So, um,
okay, that's
yeah.
fine.
So
So now what?
so now there was a trail leading out of here. Went didn't really follow it, but I think it's a good idea now because it might go to a road or to any other part of the complex that might be of note. So we're going to try to take that for as long as, at least for a little while.
Okay, let's talk about state of readiness.
Yeah. So I'm
What do
going to
you?
have my flail and shield out, shield arm, and just drop the shield and grab flail with both hands if I need to. So
Okay. Let me remind you that you're not the fastest. Um, so
right,
make sure you definitely parry, but keep in mind that with a two-handed weapon, you only parry up to half.
right,
So just I don't want you to be caught off guard when you start taking like some heavy hits because you're
right, right,
about
right. It's gonna hurt using.
to.
But that's how Brise operates. She hits hard and she takes hard hits,
Yeah.
as we've seen.
So yeah, you start making your way down the trail. It's largely overgrown, but clearly broad enough for a cart or a coach, which doesn't surprise you, of course, because there's that one just inside the door. They just sort of have a coach house built right
Right.
outside that. Um, you It begins moving up gradually. And as you look further ahead and down slope, you begin kind of recognizing marks and terrain that you had seen from the complex itself.
Yeah.
Um, you come across an area higher up, overgrown, and there's definitively a very heavy iron cage there, metal cage anyway, that holds something fairly large. It's about 25 feet across. It was designed to at least hold something. There's nothing there now, but it's upslope from you if you want to investigate further. Actually, regardless if you want to, it's still upslope. I gotta stop using that expression.
Yeah. Well, I would like to investigate further, actually. So, good thing it's upslope. Pick my way up there. So, if how well can I see it? Does it look empty or
I mean, you watch it for a good while because you don't want to be surprised by anything. I mean, there's no sound coming from it.
okay?
Um,
Just walk up there and take a closer look.
you sort of look thinking, there's got to be some way up there that they built,
Mhm.
possibly, unless the entrance is, toward the even further upslope and you come down slope to it. And so you sort of investigate. You do find a little cunningly sort of hidden little set of very small, narrow steps.
Mhm.
I mean, they're overgrown, but it's at least better than climbing the
Yeah,
slope. You've had some scary moments in climbing.
I have. Yeah,
Man, that thing is,
I've done more difficult climbs than this, but
yeah. That time in Brennaloff, man, when you took a tumble, I was like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, is this how he's going to? I mean,
What was that, like
that's
a 60-foot drop or
that
something?
was what I was thinking, 60 or 70 foot drop. And I was like, oh, that's a man, Rollmaster does falls. So, I mean, they do it realistically. I feel like it hits hard. Um,
Bone crunching.
so yeah, you make it up there sort of, cautiously, right?
Mhm.
Um, you debate the relevance of traps, but it's so overgrown here. There's not much you can do. So, do you want
Yeah,
to continue or what?
let's continue. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't,
You make it up there. Um, you are basically come to um, a level area that holds the cage and clearly space for opening the door and letting things in and out.
yeah.
And it is not small things that are supposed to be let in and out of this thing. This door opens, and it's the size of a garage door. The opening here, and it swings out away from the stairs, so toward further up slope. But obviously, there's room for it to do so. Um, Inside, there is a heavy post set in the rock. It is metal, but it is also runed. The post is mysteriously clear of vegetation. Suspiciously, maybe is the word I should use.
Yeah.
And um, and there is a chain attached to it with a very large collar or manacle. It would go easily around a man's waist. The height of the cage is about 15 feet, and as I said, about 25 feet across. You cannot help but notice it just has a fantastic view of the valley from here.
That's nice. Whatever was in here
I
had
want
a
a house.
view. Yeah. Good place to build a house. The framework's already here.
That's right. Just put a roof over the cage, and
Is there any way to see evidence of what creature might have been kept in here? Some
I mean,
blood.
obviously, the thing would be to look for. I mean, the sense is that it's long abandoned. I mean,
Right.
tracks and things like that. I mean, that's going to be long gone.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you look around. I mean, you're going to look on the floor, just see, right?
Right. To see what I see. I'm not really looking for anything particularly.
There are scales sticking out of the ground here and there. You can kind of, they are black with silver tips. I mean, a very pale silver. Reminds you of nothing that you've heard of.
I was going to say there were those other insectoid creatures, right? We saw around
Hmm.
the complex, but they were not scaled. Is that right? They had
Right.
chitin.
And this thing is, these scales are as large as your hand,
Oof.
and they are razor sharp toward the end. The last inch or so on both sides are just razor sharp. And as you touch them, you get a chill and just immediately drop them.
Ooh.
Whatever this thing was bad news. Was deeply tainted by some dark force. Um,
Is there any way I can just kind of check out what the runes on the post might be
I mean,
for?
yeah, it's within reach.
Just do a check for it.
Let me get you
This is not the best runology.
that.
Rune
That's it.
study.
That's why don't you invent more words? My game. Quit making stuff up. All right. Um, Roll for runes.
24. Nice.
No clue.
Okay.
No clue.
Hello, Quinn. It's a lot of questions for us. I don't know how to answer any of them.
Oh, I see what you mean. That's funny. The dark force, I guess, is what he's asking about. It's not the orange force. So
All right. Well, okay. If there's nothing else here, then I'll continue, go back down the stairs, continue down the road. We might just do a little perimeter around the cage, see if there's nothing else either.
sure.
Wait, posts or other marks of habitation.
You find a rack, a metal rack,
Hmm.
about hip high. Um, your guess is that it was meant to hold spears, long implements. There's things with a long handle,
Right.
because they're brackets. There's 8 different brackets that are sort of these rounded brackets. I can never get my hand on the camera
You need
correctly.
smaller hands.
I do need smaller hands. I should film it like I should record the stream with the laptop like across the room. You can see all of my gestures.
Yeah.
Uh, so um, no runes on it or anything. I mean, you really have to cut away vegetation. Um, you do see a path that does go up from here,
Hmm.
narrower, clearly just a footpath, but there's clear spots where like heavy stones, flagstones have been set to make steps, and then it'll be overgrown, and you'll see a couple more steps around a steeper section, and they all do head toward the complex.
Okay. We'll take so yeah, we'll take one of them. We'll take that trail then, and to make sure it leads back.
Heads up pretty steeply to sort of an area beside, as you're looking at the 4 wells, it would be to your left, and then it levels off equal to the complex, and it's just a fairly level, easy, kind of narrow, single file kind of situation, and it leads. You can tell that it's going to lead you right to the beginning of the complex, but it's sort of overgrown, and so from
Right.
the
It's the direction it's pretty.
right, but from the complex's side, the brush right by the edge, there's no way you would have seen this. Of
Yeah.
course, they would have
Right.
kept it cut down.
Right.
Um,
Okay. We can turn back, head back toward the Acacia, and continue down the
okay,
road I was on previously. We're pretty confident this just leads as a loop around. Honestly, maybe that brush was supposed to be there, so only only Volshad knew about it.
it's possible.
Or
Although
is he
those tools, the tool rack suggests that her men
right? True.
probably. I should put up her caption.
Hmm.
Um, so it suggests that her men were, responsible for whatever this
Or
thing.
her woman.
True, true. I mean, we did talk about, who were her apprentices. As you're
Right.
learning more about these powerful wizards and getting, the relationships they build with apprentices who are still relatively powerful, right? But
Hmm.
hope to learn from them. You
Right.
know, so
Fascinating.
so yeah, so you make it back down to the cart path. Um, it begins heading down
Okay.
and then swings back up and meets um, a path you're very familiar with.
Oh, okay.
It looks like it's the one that you've taken before coming down the slope.
Yeah.
And so it must be this path, the path that you've been down before must be wider than you realized. And
Mhm.
it must to allow this cart to pass going up, but it's just gotten, it probably had softer soil, and it just grew over.
Right.
Um, so it's kind of interesting. There's almost a sense that that the occupants of the tower were not meant to know that Volshad carriage was stashed nearby.
Right.
There's a sense of it, oh, I'm just coming up from the valley,
Right.
right?
Right. And then
Um,
coming actually around and staying in this hidden carriage house.
right. Um,
Interesting. Okay, I think that's most of everything explored. Then that is this
Yeah.
Four Wells is
I mean,
closed.
the only question I would have for you is, do you want to try? I mean, are you curious, just curious to look now at the hopefully empty
Well,
caverns?
I am curious, and we can just have Nalani, fly over and see
Right.
us.
That's, yeah, safer than a lot of other choices.
So I mean, yeah, we came back to this main road, so we'll start heading back up toward the complex. Um, and
You're within range to do it, probably just standing.
Yeah, okay, then I'll just send Nalani over to do a once over and see see the state of things now that we've set it ablaze. It'd be really funny if they just like the three towers now like chimneys, like smokestacks, like create a big
So
factory.
there is some bubbling at the bottom. There's
Mm,
I don't know, it looks like 3 or 4 inches of blood left in each tower. There's
mm.
some bubbling with wisps of smoke coming up. Um, there are also runes about 2 feet high at
Wow.
all around the base, the inner base, the inside lower portion of these. We call them towers, and they're really sort of, I guess, storage vats or
Right.
um, storage tanks, I guess. Um, um, roll
Okay.
to recognize the runes.
Yeah. I would ask. 14.
No clue. Roll again for the next
Okay.
tower,
The dice are 45.
and again.
69.
One of them does, of course, they're sort of dripping with blood, but one of them does seem to be a rune of preservation,
Hmm.
which is to say, to keep something fresh.
Right.
Um, your even your temple training through your cult, you knew of preservation spells that are used by the clerics and so on. Very useful for when you have a fallen
Right.
paladin; they can keep a body from rotting, not forever. And there's some definite connection between those spells and these runes that sparks some recognition from you. Um, the other runes are just a mystery. Um, what would you like to do, sir?
I think we're ready to bring Nalani back, and we'll go down slope far enough that I think I'm out of range of any wards or traps, spell traps, and we're gonna teleport back to the keep. I think because had a long day. Should probably spend rest the rest of the day. And then yeah. I pulled my back last episode. One of these traps I think sent me flying and got a little bit of a penalty there. Let's sleep on that. Why don't we?
That's right. All right. You make it pretty far down.
Okay.
Roll to teleport.
Teleport right at the spot outside of the keep that's safe to teleport to.
Okay.
Channeling water skin here. It's a 45.
Decent. It's 14 exhaustion. And roll to aim.
60. 30.
You are definitely tired.
Mm.
You're at the edge of town instead of the edge of the keep.
Ah,
Um, there's no shrieks of surprise as you pop into existence. Um, so the road's empty. The few homes that are out. no one, there are people around, but they're just turned away from you.
Mhm.
Um, so you still have some walking to do.
Okay. Well,
Um,
as long as I'm shouldn't be too bad. Still light
no, yeah, you should be able to get there by dark.
physically fit.
Um, you return to the keep. Um,
Man, I forgot to around the keep. There was that undead zest troll that was walking
yeah,
around with the ogre. Kind of forgot about that. I wonder if that ever materialized into anything. I told Adabir about it, but
right. And
I
I'm
imagine
sure,
Fraldra. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it got filled in. I'm sure Fraldrum got filled in. It wouldn't have done Adabir any good to keep Fraldrum in the dark, and it would have earned her some points,
Right.
earned Adabir some points to
Right.
say, look, um, um, I'm concerned about our safety as well, right?
Right.
We're
Looking
in
out
this
for the
together.
interests of all of us.
Uh, so, oh, look at that. I have a misplaced I have a misplaced antecedent there. Um, I have to change that. It's going to drive me crazy.
Seems
So,
perfectly in place to me.
um, so, um, so as you approach the entrance, um, a soldier, one of the goblin soldiers, waves you down and clearly keeping watch for you up on the gate towers, and comes downstairs to meet you, um, and tells you that quarters have been prepared for you. New quarters have been prepared for you.
Lovely.
Do you need assistance moving things from your room?
Um, I would, as long as I can oversee the process. I mean,
I mean, like, do you have things that you need multiple people to carry for you? I mean,
uh,
you
no, I don't. But just, I don't know if Brees feels like it's like, well, I don't have to do that myself.
no, well, you are tired and your back
Yeah,
does.
exactly. So,
So,
but I also don't want anyone running off with my stuff. So
well, we're right. Well, I mean, no, they're not going to do that. If you've got quarters at the keep,
there you go. Then
they know.
okay.
Yeah, they
So
know
I'll
you're.
tell them, yeah, that would be very nice. I do a bit of some bags.
Um, so yeah, so he waves another guy down. Um, they shout um, up to some of the gate watch. Let our commanders know we're assisting Lady
Mhm.
Brees. Go to the room. You pack things up. You hand them off things, um, and they take you um, into the main keep. Um, um, Sort of behind the main keep on the opposite side from where Aldrich works. Um, there's a broader area of rock gardens and so on. And they lead you to these chambers. It has, you enter, it's a 3-room suite. You enter in a sitting room, there's a dining room, and there's a bedroom off to the side. Um, and so you've got a full thing. It is definitely more richly appointed
Ooh,
than the other. It's basically as good as the stuff you had at home.
it's the American dream, baby.
That's right.
All I had to do was save the world.
That's right.
Any better?
So, um, so
I'm assuming, how does it work with like servants and stuff? Do I guess maids come in, and
oh
are
yeah,
they?
I mean it's yeah.
Is it part of a larger like series of?
Oh yeah, there's a long corridor um, of these sort of suites. It certainly
Right.
appears. Um, there are yours is on the outer side of it's away from the interior rock garden, but there are entrances for you. For anyone on this side, they can just cross the hallway and find a door that leads out. There'll be a short hallway that does it. So you kind of regret that you're not, you don't have a sitting area that opens up to that. That would be
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
But it's a short walk to it.
Right.
Um, so um, yeah, so really nice. Servants come and introduce themselves. A head servant comes. Um, she's chief of the wing. She shows you where bells have been placed in your room to ring for service at any time. You're given keys to it. Um, there are guards. There are 3 guards on this floor, one at the back entrance, one at the front entrance, and one at the entrance to the gardens. There you go. So there are trunks to store your things.
I think we should spend the rest of this session just role playing me ordering servants around.
That's it. I was talking to Buddy about his role playing that's coming up soon that we're going to be doing. Not streaming, but just privately. And he's got a farm family that his character has a farm family he's going to support. And he goes, I don't want to turn the role playing game into some sort of ranch simulator, but I do want to make sure, I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, so yeah,
I'm
so
going to write down that I do have keys. I got to keep track.
yes, you've got keys. And of course, if you do a holy lock on them, of course, that's going to be great, but you're going to raise some alarm if they need to get in there.
Right.
So, but this is clearly an area that is sequestered for guests.
Right.
They have done some garden work, not rock garden, but actual garden work on the slopes. You're really up against, not right up against the mountain, but you're within sight of the actual mountainside as it goes up. And so they've done some statuary up on the mountains, carved statues and so on. And then they've planted flowers at the feet of those statues, and so it's really meant for entertainment. There are benches out there to sit on. That courtyard out there is a courtyard, but it's a courtyard for entertainment.
Right.
Your horse, if your horse is still, I can't remember if your horse is in town or is it here?
Here, yeah, I rode it back to the keep. Yeah.
Okay, so so your horse is moved to a much nicer stable that's around the corner from that courtyard. So it's, you don't get the stable smell from these guests. And so, clearly nice things going on. I was thinking you might want to if you wanted to take the flail that you were awarded and actually have it mounted on a plaque on a board.
It's a great idea. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then
I'm probably not going to use it too much in battle. I do have some better ones, but it is nice.
Yeah. And it's carved, and it's a huge memory. It's a huge honor.
Right. So,
and it would show honor to the piece, and earn you some points there with Lady Miagraw. So yeah. So you settle in for the night. Get things put in. I guess you probably want to send a note to Aldrich.
Yeah, tell him my new quarters when he's wants to come by and check them out and have dinner and all that stuff.
There are notes from Plesh and from Faramar. They
I don't really want from Faramar. I'm just kidding. We had a bit of a disagreement last time.
Yeah, that's true. But they basically bid you goodbye. They tried to catch you throughout the day, and they just have pressing matters they have to return to.
Okay.
But they wish you luck, and Plesh says, he hopes to see you again. Faramar does not make that I don't know, makes that wish. There's also a note from Ichar, who is the is a sort of sketchy lieutenant here.
He's got a long caption, I bet. He's involved in a lot of things.
Yeah, he's a wheeler and a dealer, definitely. Let's see if I can find. I was looking for HR's thing. But saying, don't forget our agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to remind people what that agreement is.
I know. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Nothing.
he had promised to lend me a banner of the House Miagral, which should help me avoid any goblin raiders on the way to Dorgal. And because, as we know, most of the raiders are loyal to one house or another. In the
Well,
one,
as you've learned, it's not
as I've
commonly
learned,
known.
as I've learned, and everyone has discovered vicariously through me, is yeah, they are mostly loyal to Miagral in this region. So if I wave her banner, or at least display it, then should be left alone.
Right.
In return, he would like an audience with the great eagles, Korokyle and his kin, who are part of this council that Plesh and Faranar and the Oshekra kind of were a part of. So it's going to be a little challenging to get a hold of them now. And I know I said 2 weeks, which would be the 29th, would be the deadline for that. So I'll probably need to figure out how I'm going to do that soon.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not difficult to catch the eagles' attention. They're in the air. Well, I guess it's not difficult to find them, but it's difficult to like wave them down. Like, hey, I need to talk.
right.
So.
I'm sure I bring this up almost every time we talk about the Great Eagles, but I'm in Tolkien. I was really surprised that like when he talked about the first dragon that was built, right? That Morgoth created. That its eyesight was even better than the eagles.
Oh wow!
And I'm like,
I don't remember that. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that's scary.
that's in it's like one of the unfinished tales and something like that.
And kind of unusual too, because you associate like reptilian creatures with not the best eyesight, right?
Right, other senses
Not
perhaps,
special, yeah.
but it also dragged its belly across the ground, couldn't fly.
Oh wow!
And so it would just leave this trail of poisonous filth.
Right.
So easy to track, I guess, but who wants to? So
that's where the snake comes from, right? If it goes into its own trail, it dies. It's like, well, you got to keep moving.
It's COVID. So he has to hands the belly sanitizer. He's like rubbing, So
right. So we'll have to maybe tomorrow we'll try to spend some time getting in touch with the Eagles.
Right. So the
uphold my end of the deal, not only because I'm an honorable person, but because Itchar knows some people could be pretty dangerous.
Right.
On the bad side.
So you want to send notes to HR or not?
Yeah. No, I'll send him one, just reassurance.
Okay.
Had some setbacks, but I committed to the 2-week deadline, as I mentioned.
Aldrif writes back and says that they are swamped with some work that they've been loaned out to do for another noble. And so he's glad you're back, but he's going to be working late into the night. And I don't doubt your beat.
No, yeah. We'll just have some dinner of my own and probably just go to bed early.
All right, boom. Yeah, pass out early after dinner. The bed is definitely better than the one we're accustomed to in the other quarters. It does feel nice to be out from under that air of where Adabir was killed. And
yeah, that's true.
Roll for me.
And all those rats died. 36.
Um, but you know that you can never really relax your guard here
Right.
because Mia Grawl does not. She doesn't take anything for granted. She's a
Mhm.
very careful customer, and so you know that you if there's something you don't want her to know, you can't. You can't have loose lips about anything.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, all right, let's do our three rolls. We're on the morning of the 24th.
It's an 11.
Wake up very early.
95.
Crazy dreams.
Do I add to that or is that
Yes.
plus 46?
Okay. Lots of dreams of very dark imagery. Um, you
Mhm.
keep having there's all these manifestations of creatures, various types of creatures. In one case, it's a bird that has those dark scales with the silver tips you found. Another one is a giant who wears that as a suit of armor, and you're running from him just over and over. So a restless night, sort of mentally. Um, um, and what was your other role?
Plus
Oh,
40.
right. Sorry.
I,
Roll again. Roll
third
again.
roll is 54.
Yeah. All right. So you wake even queasier than you did the night
Mm.
before. You
Ooh.
also notice your injuries are no better.
Oh, man. Yeah. I was thinking that I remember the Trinidots warned me that there's definitely a darkness upon me from the time I spent in that complex.
You've recovered. Um, you're at three-quarters of your exhaustion, so you're at 75 exhaustion. You did not recover all of your exhaustion.
Oh, okay.
So you feel a little weary. I mean, you're rested. You can operate today, no problem. But um, clearly, the curses are acting on you.
Yeah. Is
Uh,
8 back to full or
Say
no?
again.
Is hit points back to full or is that
They did
part?
not heal at all.
Oh, at all. Wow. Oof. Okay. That's mm. Well, then I guess we'll probably take it easy today. We'll see. I mean, we could roll basically to see how I feel about pushing through and doing some
Well,
stuff.
I mean, if you're just going to ride out to the country and watch for eagle
Right.
activity,
Eagles, right. Or honestly, I might go to Fraldrum and ask her because she's spoken with the Eagles before. So I might say, hey, can I possibly get my other inns are gone. Can you possibly arrange something?
right?
So I was going to do that first if she was able to. And then um, and then go to town and do a little bit of investigating on um, the cult of the Iron Empress that's cropped up.
Right, right. Um, so maybe send just a note to Fraldrum.
Yeah,
Take an easy morning until you get a response.
yeah.
Get pampered. Have them draw you a bath and so on. Um, so it's not, it's not, you have ladies in waiting, which are simply, well, not really ladies in waiting, properly speaking, but there's the servants who help you undress and dress and so on. So there's no sort of shame in being seen naked by servants who are assigned such duties. And so they draw you a bath. You've sent your note. And when you undress, you're turned away from them, and there's a small gasp from one of the servants. They're scolded by one of them, and
I know, I'm beautiful.
that's right.
I
And
to all genders and sexes alike.
that's right. Species. You know, you can't touch this. That's really what I'm saying. Um, so the sort of senior servant there scolds her, and then comes to you and touches you gently on the shoulder and says, um, your back is you have a streak across your back that's very swollen and bruised. Um, were you aware of this? Do we need to send for the doctor? Um, Send for the healer?
Yeah, yeah, I would say a healer would be, if you could arrange for one, would be good. I didn't realize how bad it was.
Um, so she sends the girl running.
Mhm.
Um, she finds a robe for you there in the bathing room. um, and and so in a few minutes, a young goblin female healer comes in. Um, they speak with the older servant and then approach you. And um, I should roll him up just real quick, just so I know how he.
Quite a strain on Mia Girl's medical. It's like the third time come back with
Well,
that.
with I don't know 100+ people working this keep, you're going to have burns out of the forge. You're going to have horse accidents, people getting cut in the kitchens. I mean, and some of the stuff just gets ignored, of course, and some of it just doesn't. You've got to. Where is my? Sorry, I got to launch my thing. Well, it doesn't matter. We'll skip that for
Old wizards vaporizing into dust. There's all sorts of
now.
accidents.
Those are tough to heal. That's
Yeah.
rough. Um,
Just go to the healing ward. His Adamir shoes are just.
oh, it's so awful.
He doesn't have a pulse. I don't know what's going
Um, he's really bad. I don't know. Um, um, so he comes up to you, sort of touches your shoulder, and says, you can just pull that down, and I'll examine your back, my lady." And he looks at it and pokes around, and you can feel just where that muscle is just
on.
rock hard across your back, just where it's just
Yeah.
pulled. You flinch and um, um, he says, "Surely you must be pain elsewhere. Um, there's a good deal of bruises and swelling all over you."
Mm.
Um, so
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell him where it hurts most, but I also
sure.
add like I have been through worse. So.
Do you want to inform him of what you've been through?
Well, yes, and I'll tell him, in brief about there were traps and it was an unholy place, and I suspect there's some lingering, their curse might have been laid um, on me at the time I got the injuries. So bring up all those details, whatever seems relevant.
He says, "I'm going to attempt to relieve your pain." And he murmurs a spell. Um, and you feel a warmth pass over you, and then suddenly it shuts down.
Mm.
And he clearly makes a noise. Well,
Mm.
and
And I say, it happens to me all the time. I fumble spells a lot. It's okay.
that's hilarious.
I don't doubt your skill. I just doubt your rolls.
um, so, so yeah, he says there must be a curse upon you. If you wish, I can attempt to remove it, but it's not exactly my forte.
I say that the curse is probably somewhat powerful. I think it would be wise to get a more experienced person to determine that first.
Um,
So if there's anyone at the keep, or I might just have to head into the temple in town.
There's a private temple here for
Oh,
Lady Meagral.
oh, I didn't know that. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So he says, why don't you just enjoy your bath and have the servants send word to me, and we'll meet you in your quarters after your bath.
Okay.
So, so yeah, so you have a really wow enjoyable bath. Good lord! In fact, I'm gonna give you 10 exhaustion points back, regardless of the curse.
Sweet.
That was like 228 I rolled. Uh,
Wow. What do they put in the water?
I know it's plum wine. I don't know.
I've always been very curious to feel like how it would be to bathe in like warm wine.
Well, I mean, can't you know
Interesting.
how? What's the cheapest wine you can find? And how many gallons do you need? I mean,
Right.
it's got to be doable, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be
Warming
under
it,
$100.
yeah,
Yeah.
warming it has got to be.
I mean, you could dilute it with some water. It doesn't need to be. Doesn't need to be foolproof.
Oh, that's hilarious. He died of alcohol poisoning, naked again. What? How does that even make sense?
Oh my gosh.
You have the servants send word as you're getting dressed.
Right.
You elect just to stay in your robe. They take your clothes out for cleaning, which is great. You
Lovely.
go, um, you just go and recline on the couch and wait for them. Knock on your door, and hmm, so not a local guy.
Mm.
So, um, so an older human comes in, um, tall, about your height. In fact, you're tall. You're not tall for your people, but you are just tall compared to most men.
Right.
Um, um, Heavily built, older guy comes in, long beard, kind of shabby robes. Huh. Um, he just nods to you, and he sort of takes a seat beside you. And I say we stop right there and take a quick break.
All right. Yeah.
Um,
Cast detect ambush. Okay.
that's right, cast detect ambush, bastards, always trying to get you down. So yeah, all right. Well, we will be right back. I'm gonna put on our fun ticker. I
Yeah.
do.
Everybody draw a bath. Have a really good bath in the meantime.
That's right.
And
I gotta find how to. I forget. There it is. So guys, we will be right back. We're gonna go stretch our legs and grab us some drinks. You take time to do the same, and we will be right back with you and continue to see what happens on Karandrin. So see you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. I appreciate that. Let me turn off our little streamer there, our ticker. Here, I'll put that one on. Chill,
There we go. The
chill like
class.
that. That's that's great stuff. I like this ticker function. I'm glad they added it because it makes me laugh. We got to add some more. There's this one that we did.
Don't fix any bugs. Just make Kevin laugh. That's
That's kind of That's kind of my prayer every night. Don't improve my life, just make me laugh. Um, and so far, that's what's happened. Um,
well. Hopefully, this heavily built, long bearded priest will make us laugh as well. Again, I've lost my laughter. Curse.
Once again, there's something hovering over you. You know what? I don't know why I'm not zoomed in on this junk more. Oh my god, it's so much easier to read. I'm so sorry.
Reese is no stranger to these effects. I remember the soul shear from the Demon Eluctu had me kind of out of it for a few days. And
Right.
I know went to some other place that had a curse, and I was also a little sick.
That was. I know there was the mines by the battlefield that
Yeah,
you explored.
I do recall like using resist curse successfully, but probably it still left some lingering effect.
Hmm. Yeah, I like having a messy world where it's not all just yes or no. In terms of those sorts of things.
Resist curse question mark.
Exactly. Resist most curse. What?
98
Um,
guaranteed kills 99.9%.
that's,
The last percent.
that's right. Um, so yeah, he like kind of looks you up and down, and um, he like he
Fine.
doesn't say anything, and you're just kind of
Say, are you from the temple then?
I am, my lady. Begins to ask you in this very slow manner. He asks you questions about how you're feeling and so on. Let's see, what does he do? Uh, Takes out a rod um, of
Put your rod away, please.
yeah, sort of this, that wood gets sort of silvered. If it's been out and out for a really long time, and it's sort of a silvered wood rod. Very simple. There's like a plain iron band at the base,
Mm.
and and he says, "I'll need you to remain still." And he murmurs a spell. He goes, "This is an unusual one. You've been tainted by at least two different sources.
Hmm.
There are necromantic elements that are crying for your soul."
Hmm.
He reaches into the pockets of his robe. He brings out images of the gods and sets them um, along the sort of coffee table that you're sort of parallel to. He says this will take some time. Not very social
No.
guy, kind of curious fellow, sort of his own person.
Yeah. Well, he seems to be doing his job though, so that's
He begins murmuring, and he'll stop, open his eyes, close his eyes again, murmur.
checks his watch, murmurs.
You feel a lightness come to you. You feel somewhat unburdened. He says, "You can be healed now.
Okay.
The necromantic elements remain. And it's been about an hour.
Hmm. Oh, it's been really hard for me with my impatience, honestly.
But you're so beat.
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
there are
Okay.
probably times you've dozed off
Yeah.
and there's a. You ever watch American Dad? Are you a fan of American Dad at all?
Oh, but I know,
Oh,
you've told me enough about it.
oh my gosh. That one you gotta find that one about when they renew their wedding vows. You just have to watch that one. He talks about so Roger is gonna the alien, right? He's
Mhm.
going to set up all the ceremony. He's a wedding. He's gonna be the wedding planner to set up their
Of course.
ceremony for doing this, and he's done all this remarkable. I mean, seriously remarkable work. Like you think it's just gonna fall apart because he's stupid and it.
Mhm.
But no, I mean he finds this song that that was playing when she was proposed to, when the wife was proposed to, and she
Mm.
had never been able to recognize it. He said, "Well, I hypnotized you and had a musicologist by me, and he had you hum it to him, and he recognized it. And you were in the bath at the time, and so you were perfectly comfortable." She's like, "I was in the bath." He goes, "Please, honey, he's a musicologist. He sees it all the time, and it's."
Sees it all the time.
It's just, it goes, "I'm sure nothing happened." And then he turns to Stan, the husband, and goes, "Well, I think nothing happened. I took a nap for about half an hour."
Oh Lord.
Anyway, I do it. That is my favorite episode. It is so great.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry. So he says the necromantic elements remain. Um,
Hmm.
he he asks you to describe any experiences you've had. Tells you understands your background is that as an explorer.
Hmm.
Anything that made you feel uneasy.
Well, yes, actually, I feel comfortable describing the general location to him. Talking about the story of Lewin and the snake, kind of reversed, and the great vats of blood that seem to be there, and then trying to dispose of them by burning them, which then caused the describe the smoke in the cloud as well with the eyes, and manifested out of it.
He says none of those strike him as necromantic in nature,
Mm.
not on their surface.
Right, right.
Perhaps there were um, elements
Oh, I
of
see
that
what he
energy.
means. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it was a layer of a necromancer, but those specific. Yeah.
Are you going to use the name?
Yeah. No, I say there's the layer of Volshad. I believe I was exploring.
He shakes his head. He says, "I don't. The name means nothing to me, but
Priest, you are. Jeez.
I know, right?"
This guy- I mean, he knows his stuff, but he's not too helpful on that
Of course, it is
knowledge
Karandrin.
department. What's
Nobody knows everything, right?
that? That's true. Yeah.
He he says this may take some research, but you will heal now. But just know that um, for the time being, your afterlife may be in the here and now as a horror, meaning if you die.
Wow, interesting. If I were to die now, my soul might be. Oh, kind of like what happened to the paladins. Yeah, might have some curse that would prevent my soul from moving on.
Right.
Interesting. Huh. That's like what I think the Trinitas said something similar. Yeah. Huh.
Yes. I will keep you updated, my lady. Is there anything else I can do for you?
I don't think so. I just ask for his name if I can ask for him and thank him for his work.
Kepik, Keppik.
Quiet. Right. Okay. So if he takes his leave, then
Rises with difficulty and leaves. Um, he tells you, like as I said, he'll send you notes with his progress.
yeah.
Um, want to keep 524. Okay. Um, so that's
Any yeah. So there any word from Fraldrum now on the Astro about the arranging a meeting with the Eagles?
no word.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
I think we'll if I feel good enough, we'll go into town and do a little bit of investigating around Anlib the winemaker's house then. So we did talk before stream in wondering if it's risky but a good idea to try to gain entrance to the house under some disguise on some other pretext of business. And I think Brise wouldn't be opposed to that. She doesn't consider herself a good liar, but it is for a good cause. It would just be kind of working out the lie beforehand, and what pretext it is. So.
And I think you would strive to make it as true as you can. You
Right,
know, I'm a young lady new to the area. You
right.
know, um, you
Who
know,
heard you were a winemaker of some repute, and um, you know, could be a connoisseur of wine, which I am. I do like a good drink. Um, I remember my character sheet. I like this at the bottom where we rolled for how I deal with stress, and drinking was an 86. So
yeah.
let's go in there saying I'm like to talk shop. Just about wines and you know
Um, um, so think about what other factors you need to add to get the information you're after.
right. So I am curious about magical defenses on their residents if they actually have meetings here about regarding the cult. Um, which I wonder how I could bring that up. Any good cults in town? I mean, there's the. I do know some of her imagery. I could if I used face change would change my face, but if I had like a tattoo or something of like a dagger, um,
Oh, interesting.
interesting. But that might be too obvious because then she thinks on the in. I might have to play a role that I don't know how to. Right.
Oh, exactly, because the tattoo might suggest you have a great deal of knowledge,
Right.
and then
Exactly.
right,
Right.
right,
So yeah.
right, and this is again for our viewers, this is the Iron Empress's cult, who's an ancient goddess,
Yeah.
um, um, from a religion that's seems relatively extinct, except this Iron Empress keeps popping up in certain areas.
Right.
Um, we
And we don't
found
know whether the cult is kind of using her name or if it's actually she is gaining power again.
right.
Through some
Um,
rituals. Yeah.
so
Could I mean I could also throw out HR. It's like I know new to the area, but I know man HR at Negro Keep, and bring him into the conversation. Um,
Do you worry? I mean, do you think she would check with HR though?
um, right about who I am. Yeah, yeah, she probably would afterward then. But does that matter, right? Because that person will no longer exist, afterward, after the potion wears off.
Yes, although that does rule out you using that identity again.
That's true. That's true. I see what you mean. Creating that contradiction. Yeah, if I don't have to. Mm, yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I could just bring up also just arcane, like the research, of magic and old gods, and maybe that could gender some
Oh, that's
conversation.
interesting. Some opening. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very interested in old religions as well, and
Right,
heard in this area there were quite a few. Could you tell me about some of them? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any good sources around
Right, right.
for knowledge of, right, that's interesting. Right.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Kind of like I would be interested in the cold, but from like a what's it, historical or academic perspective might be a good in.
there's not much. You have to remember that sort of scholarship in the sense that we know it is really at its
Okay.
infancy. So it has to
Yeah.
be sort of a personal study of yours.
Personal. Okay. Okay.
That's how it's weird. Like,
Yeah. No, you're right. Like the term academic, like to refer to that doesn't exist. Yeah.
right. We don't even really have universities rising yet. I mean, there's some, what we would probably call primary school level education and things like that going on for the wealthy. And then beyond that, it's sort of tutors
Right.
who do things. I haven't really thought about really a university system.
No Hogwarts and Karandrin.
Well,
It's
no, that I've thought about, like
yeah.
magical schools. I've
That's
definitely
a
thought about.
separate thing entirely. Yeah.
Right, it's certainly a specialized. Right, that's a Votech school. Let's be honest, that's what it is. It's a, um, but like I mean, there were some some cultures that did develop higher education, far predating European medieval age. Um, but in fact, Quinn was just research. We were researching something together while we were talking on the phone, and he found out that I think it was Seneca spent 250,000 denarii on his son's education,
Oh wow.
which, like for context, an ox uh, is was 100 denarii.
Wow.
So I mean that's what 2,500. No, yeah, 2,500 oxen.
Son, I could have had that much oxen.
Yeah. So um, um, I haven't thought that through as much as I probably ought to.
Mm,
But so yeah, so just make it a private interest.
right.
And yeah, that might be a really nice way in. It
Yeah,
does depend on you really trying to remember what your face is going to look like if you're going to try to maintain this.
that's right. Which is helpful if I, choose someone I've seen before.
Right,
And
or see regularly,
yeah, yeah,
where it's always fresh in your mind.
right,
And there's no way you can pass for a goblin. You're far too tall for that. I
right.
mean,
But maybe half goblin, that'd be
I
possible.
think you're probably too tall for that.
Yeah, okay.
Um, um, and it's not going to change your hands and it's um,
Right, right, true. Yeah.
so
How about just a really tall halfling?
we're just going to go for it, right? Um, but anyway, I mean, and then the question is like, where do you expect to, like, if you want to maintain a relationship with her, where do you want to receive correspondence?
Right, true.
Which is fine. You can set all of this up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just get an in, pay for it for a month, right? You don't
Right,
care.
right.
And
Exactly,
then,
exactly.
she can send messages there and so on, and you just check in with some regularity.
Hmm.
Um, so, um, So, what next then? Are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll do it. We'll ride into town on my horse and
Dressed in town clothes?
dressed in town clothes, and I got let me mark down kind of what I'm taking with me here. Make sure counted for. Got my daggers at my boots, and that should be good. My bag of holding here with some stuff that I need. Okay,
So for this is going to be sort of a high society meeting, right? So,
right,
which is something you're very comfortable with,
right,
which means you'll send a letter ahead, a message ahead to make sure she's in town, to request an audience, and to tell
right.
them where they can reply to,
Okay,
um, and that'll be your starting point. You then will need to decide on who you're going to look like.
right.
Um,
Well, then I will. Let's first make sure we have an inn here. INN, I mean, and I think there's only a few in town, really. Yeah. So there's the Eternal Lantern. That's the Adventuring Guild. So there was another one. Oh, I forgot the name of it. The one I first stayed at in town. It was a good bet.
you are, you do have some close female friends clearly in your memory that you feel like you can confidently reproduce from memory.
Okay.
And don't. My first thought was your mother, and then I rolled. Would someone recognize you as Ken? Double ought.
Okay.
Like
Right. 'Cause she was probably also very beautiful.
so. Like I was like, how closely do they resemble each other? 75. Okay, sure.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Mhm.
how closely would people recognize? How immediately people would recognize you as Ken?
Right.
100,
Wow, okay.
which is very true between me and my father.
Mm.
Very true.
I might be talking to your father right now.
You don't know, except for the fact that I'm slightly more alive than he is, not by much.
Slightly more alive.
Um, so,
Okay.
um, so you feel like you've got that locked down,
Right.
um,
So I'm
and
writing down. I got a little section here for these plans. Right. Female
right.
friend of mine. Well,
Let's release one of our fun tickers. There we go.
and
That makes me laugh. I like that one a lot. It's all fantasy-esque except for the drugs.
drugs.
Dragon, dragging, drugs, drag queen. I do like the. Well, I guess drag queen is not, but I like that queen is in there, which is sort of
And
fantasy.
drag, it's basically Karandrin in a
It
nutshell.
is. It is. Um,
Potion of face change. I think we said it lasts for a while.
yes. How many do you have? Two?
Several minutes, actually.
It lasts how long?
Several minutes. It's not that
Mm.
long, actually.
Oh man, it sort of scraps everything, doesn't it? Shoot.
Yeah. Wow. I can't walk in there and have a whole meeting. Excuse me. I need to use the bathroom again.
Right.
Wow. Man, the chat's supposed to help us out with this sort of stuff. Queen of
No, they're not. Gotta
yes.
suck it up. So all right, so roll for me.
Okay. 23.
Yeah, all right, so that didn't occur to you. So
Sorry, 32.
my bad. Now you have a worse idea.
Yeah. My spells. I wonder if there's. Well, couldn't find a potion of more powerful potion possibly that does something similar.
Roll for me.
44.
Probably gonna be highly regulated.
Right. That's what I think of. If it lasts for a while. And that obviously makes a lot of sense why the face changes only last for several minutes. And be pretty powerful if you can be whoever you wanted for a day.
Right, and basically it would be the inroad to theft,
Right.
you know, and so yeah, kind of hate add to that realism because I really love my characters to have lots of abilities and things and be able to do new stuff. But it's like it does kind of push the threshold of reality. You got to find some unscrupulous. Um,
Right. It's as they say in the gamer talk. It's OP,
OP. Oh,
overpowered. Yeah.
overpowered. Well, it's not that it's overpowered. Well, okay, it's fine that it's overpowered. It's not fine that the society doesn't react to that fact.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be
Um,
consequences for it. Yeah, I'm looking through my spells. Nothing similar.
no, nothing in your category is going to be able to do that. So that I mean, that basically leaves you trying to produce a disguise,
Right.
um, and which may mean something like hair dye and a radical change of clothes.
Yeah.
Um, do you walk with, do you sort of fabricate lifts in your shoes, or do you walk with a stoop?
Right. Right.
Um,
Well, I don't know if there's any of my character sheet that shows one if I'm willing to do that, and two how good I am at doing
if your character sheet is if your if your skill sheet is silent on it, you're not going to be good at it. That's
that. Right. I guess that would like disguise.
right.
Disarm
Um,
traps, lying,
right.
detect traps. Bad. Yeah. No. Duh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to pull off without any help.
Right. So that may just leave you back to maybe watching who's coming, going,
Yeah.
hiding out, maybe skirting, going down, doing a loop around the property once. You
Yeah.
know, keep in mind that goblins do see perfectly well in pitch black.
Right.
So while you feel like you will be, um, while you feel like you will be hidden by the dark, you've spent enough time among goblins where it's just not true. It was hard to, you remember as a child, it was very hard to wrap your head around the fact that the dark does not bother them. You know.
Right.
Um,
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's just go into town and investigate the house on the exterior. Like we said, do a little circuit of it, and then watch. For a few hours. Just um, do some uh, do some stalking here. Man, that's I was going to be really fun. I was looking forward to that.
no, yeah, I was
Maybe I
too.
could still make it work some way, but it couldn't be like it couldn't be a whole conversation.
Right.
Drop in, drop out.
I mean, it is still useful if you want to take a riskier approach to more boldly circling the property, where if you
Right,
get caught, it doesn't matter. Right. And
right,
those 10 or 15 minutes that last is fine.
yeah.
And so you make that decision if you want it handy or not. Um,
Excuse me.
so you navigate there pretty well. Good job. Not ridiculous at all. And
I'll definitely make sure I have my cloak, and hood up. Try to want people seeing my face.
right. Um, you think later that what you'll probably want to do is maybe buy 3 or 4 just plain high quality cloaks of different colors,
Yeah.
so you can change out and not be, oh, it's that same green cloak with the red trim, you know.
Right.
Um, so very nice estate. It's a narrow 2-story home that stretches kind of back. It has a walled garden to the side. You can see there's trees and so on. There's a carriage entrance in the front. Um, There is, it looks like just a hired sort of watchman, not really a guard. He's just got a short cudgel in his belt.
Hmm.
He's goblin. Seems fairly watchful, fairly vigilant. Um, he's keeping an eye. He's not just lounging or whatever. He's attentive. He looks at you and looks away. Um,
And just the one kind of standing by the front.
that's what you've seen so far.
Right.
You walk down to along the garden wall.
Hmm.
When you feel less watched, you go down the alley. There are servants at the house beside. They're beating rugs. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yeah, to get all like the dust out.
Yeah, they're
Even
beating rugs outside. It occurs to you they can be points of information, um,
yeah.
but you might have to decide about bribing.
Hmm.
You might, I mean, it. Um, I don't know if you're ready
Also,
to take
yeah,
that.
I'm not ready because then if if they spill that I've been here, I'm the one with the recognizable face. So
Right. Um,
just keep on by.
they nod to you and recognize you as a woman of quality. They give you a milady, and um, you pass on through.
I would also do a when I'm out of sight. I would try to detect magic on Anlem's house itself. Just
Out
see.
of sight. I mean, from the servants.
Well, no, well, yeah, from anywhere, right?
Okay,
Because detect magic will be 19 foot. Um,
a 19-foot radius.
so that would get decent chunk of the home, or
Yes, yes. What's the range on the spell?
from 150 feet away.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
might have to cast it twice, like one at the front, one at the back.
yes.
And it's from
Although,
it's from a tome also, so I got to roll
oh
it.
yeah, it's going to be pretty obvious. The
Yeah.
other problem you have with that is, let's say it detects magic. What have you really learned?
Well, right, but I mean, if it's on the windows, on the doors, I can kind of, I can kind
I
of,
guess you could kind of infer, I
which I'm
guess.
well, the windows, doors, and maybe anything inside, right? That
Right. But again,
I won't be
if
able to
the
see them, right? Yeah,
if the doors and windows, it's a house of wealth.
right.
There could be just magical locks on those
Well, how
things.
about if I find anything extremely, um, I'll at least know where it is in the house if I do
Sure,
want to break in at some point. And
sure.
I remember seeing this there on the second floor, closer to the building, so
As
that'll
you
give me some information.
as you walk down, there's the the as you pass the servants,
Hmm.
about 50 feet down the alley. There's a wooden gate, solid wood, as high as the garden wall. Um, Wall's about 12 feet high.
Mm.
Um, and roll for me.
10.
Okay. Uh, the gate opens as you're approaching it. A female guard with a short sword, clearly been watching you, steps out and gives you a bow. I mean, looks directly at you and gives you a bow.
Okay.
and says, "Do you need directions, my lady?"
Um,
Roll for me.
yeah, she probably knows what I'm up to. Might as well. 46.
Okay, and give me a gut roll.
95
Roll again.
plus 68.
All right. No question that they've had their eye on you.
Right.
No question that she is, she's on the razor wire of social nicety, right?
Right.
If she's up to something, then I have to find out, but I cannot insult her or I'll lose my job.
Right. Right.
No question. But clearly, you got seen by somebody turning down the alley. It
Yeah.
seemed unusual, and they just thought they would, you know. By the same token, if you're lost, they can make a buck, right? They give you directions or whatever, right? It's
Right.
so
And I think maybe I'll play into that just to avoid rousing suspicion.
what? You want to avoid rousing suspicion? Rouse it.
Rouse all the suspicion.
It's Quinn. Quinn made me do this.
So I'll say yes. I'm looking for the Eternal Lantern. Actually, I'm supposed to be meeting someone there.
You want to associate yourself with something that's actually associated with you?
Oh, that's right. I'm wearing my town clothes, aren't I?
You are, but
Yeah.
I'm just
And
thinking.
you're right, because that would be a tie to me. I'm looking for. I give the name. What was the name of the fabric shop that was near the magic place?
Well, just roll if you remember it in the
Okay.
moment.
Well, 24. I'm looking for a marketplace to buy textiles, some clothes. This is the nicer part of town. I thought I'd wander down here.
All right, roll. Oh, actually, don't roll. No, it's a bad idea. I got to remember. It's a bad idea to let you do that.
Mm-mm. Right, because I don't want to know how well I lied.
Yeah, I shouldn't. Right, I shouldn't burden you with that knowledge if you're going to role play.
It's quite the burden.
She smiles at you knowingly
Mm-hmm.
and looks behind her into the garden and then closes the door and comes up to you and says, "My lady, I don't know who sent you, but there are dangerous folk here.
Okay. Um, I
A lady of your stature should not be tangled up with this.
I see. Okay.
Drop the matter. If you'll take my advice, drop the matter." I mean, she says it very respectfully. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, she's
He's like definitely looking out for my interests, and I wonder if I should like try to. Yeah, but
you rolled great for your lie. She rolled fantastic to see through it.
wow.
And then I was like, okay, like, all right, so is she? So I want to roll for opportunisticness, right? Like, hey, I
Yeah.
know you're looking for information. Do you? What do you want to know, and how much are you willing to spend, right?
Right.
And and I said no, and I was like, well, what about altruism?
Yeah.
Huge role for altruism.
Okay. Okay.
So she is, and you believe her. I mean, she's not playing you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if I should like try to pursue that in any way for info, but
I mean, why not? If you, I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, like,
you,
yeah, she's clearly not going to attack me. So like, might as well press her,
and I
until
don't
she's
think she's going to betray you.
right aggressive. So, say dangerous, it's, at a nice place like this. I
No,
can't,
no, I thought you were going to go for. I
do
know
you
it's
think be
dangerous.
direct? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You
I
know,
suppose so. Yeah. You're right. Cause she knows, that's right. She already discovered my lie. Sorry. I had
well,
gotten
she discovered that at least. I mean, you get the sense
number
that she
10.
knows you're up to something.
Yes, she said. And so I will tell her. It's like I know, and I'm trying to get to the roots of it. I don't. I'll just leave it at that.
Some of them are fools. My lady is one of them. And I don't mean to speak ill of her, but there are others that are not.
Mm.
I say again, you shouldn't be mixed up in this.
I say no one should. Can you tell me the names of some of these people you think are influential?
I have a family. I dare not.
Okay.
I've been gone too long.
Okay. I don't want to endanger you either.
Then follow me. I'm going to act as though I'm pointing out directions.
Okay.
So she walks out the way you came.
Mm-hmm.
Go back out to the street,
Mm-hmm.
and she just begins talking to you in gibberish, basically, and then gesturing certain ways.
Okay.
She says, "Our front man is an eagle eye, so don't look back. Walk, this way, and then just go down to the right, and then you should be fine."
Okay. Okay. And I say, how would I word it? Okay, is there anyone in earshot? It looks like near the.
There are passersby, but they really do seem to be minding their own business. It's an upper end of town, upper end area, right? So it's mostly um, goblin women in finery with their
Right.
children
Right.
out for a walk, taking the air, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So
A lot of
I would just I would just say before I take off, it's like there could be some chance to do real good here, but you know um, I don't know how to word it. Just like maybe another opportunity for if you ever feel like you remember something, or want to
right.
talk about something. Um, and I guess I shouldn't say a place overheard, or I mean, you can send word to the Eternal Lantern. I don't. I guess I could just say that.
But they would have to know your name.
Right, right. And I've just given alias.
They
Send
can't
word.
give it if you give an alias. I guess if they give an alias and they don't know that you're on the books there,
Oh, yeah, true. Well, then I could just say an in, right? Message for someone add an.
you'd have to, yeah, right. You would have to know of an inn,
Right.
say, you can leave word here, and then go to that inn immediately and get a room under
Yes,
that
that's
name.
what I'm going to do right now. And the inn I say is the one where I stayed at first night I was here, which is called the something Spring. Do you remember what it was called? Does Brise remember what it was called?
You do. You give the name,
Give that name.
and what's your alias?
Alias is Anna. That's a great. Say if you ever remember something, leave word for Anna at the
She winces at the fact that she now has, your name, right? That she knows anything. She purses her lips, in anger, and she's like, ask discreetly about Brashla. Discreetly, mind. And then she waves at you and gives you a little bow
Okay.
and then walks off.
Wow, that was a cool interaction. I like that a lot. Yeah.
So follow her directions in
Yeah.
terms of going.
Yeah.
The desire to turn around and look and see if anything's happening is irresistible, but you resist.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to send you that name.
Just,
And so you make it around the corner. It's early afternoon. Shall we call it here?
well, let's go to the inn. Just take care of that.
Okay.
Just take a room with my name. Make sure I
Roll
don't
to
get
navigate.
mobbed, assaulted. 28.
Roll again.
Here we go. 79.
Erase 4 copper for lunch because you just have to stop and get something to eat.
Brilliant.
And you make it back to the inn. We'll research that when we get off stream.
Mhm.
And get a room for how long?
I'll get it for 1 week.
Okay. Under the name Anna.
Mm-hmm. 3 N's. This is a fantasy world after all.
It is, but you're only getting a room at one inn, right? That's right. So, all right. So, you sit down to kind of process the day, and there you go. So we'll
Okay,
call
yeah.
it right there. So we'll call it mid afternoon on the 24th. Is where we're leaving off. You're at the inn. I'm going to think through everything that's happened, and there you go. So once again, a interesting episode.
Yeah, for sure.
With some stuff shaking out there,
Here,
getting away from a little curse and so on.
just a weed.
So just a reminder to everybody, we're going to be broadcasting next Tuesday. And hopefully that'll be hopefully our modified schedule is up now. I've been checking periodically. No, something is going on. It is not updating, so we'll get that fixed. So just pay attention. It is ready on YouTube. You can see the date there. But next Tuesday is our stream. A little shift in schedule. Then we'll be back on Thursdays. But thanks for hanging out with us. If you think we're doing a good job, then hey, hop to Donor Box and give us a little love. And if you think that Max is just the most sonorous, susurring voice you've ever heard, and you want to susurring. That's right. Susurring. You know what the word susurring? Do you know what that means?
No.
That's the word for that's the sound that the wind makes through the trees.
Oh, Cythera and Ciceri. Yeah. I have heard of that. I just can't remember how to pronounce it. I know how it's spelled.
Yeah. But anyway, you can go to Max on YouTube to his own channel there and listen to him discuss the role of video game and original soundtracks in video games. As always, thanks to Elliot Dunovitz for their terrific character art for Brise that we use every stream. You can find more of their work at artstation.com/Tortolua. And I've written a novel called A Shore Too Far. It's my first novel. One day I'll get around to writing more. But I'm really pretty tickled with it, and I hope you enjoy it too. So go take a look at it on Amazon. As always, thank you guys for hanging out with us and for listening to another episode. Max, why don't you say goodbye to these lovely people?
Yeah, I forgot to bring it up earlier, but I do have a new video. So
fantastic!
Check it out. The Fire Emblem games, if anyone's interested in
Oh, very
opinion
cool.
on that. But yeah, I hope you had a good. Hope you enjoyed watching us this time around. And yeah, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you for everything. We'll see you then.